Hola, I'm Ephfive and this is a Scrappy preview of Four Towers by Denken Games. Four Towers is mostly a territory control game, except that everyone is in control of the territory. No player has a particular color of meeple holding down territory for that player, and territory itself has no value at the end of the game. It's quite a twist on the mechanic. The game has two primary areas of play, meeple pushing on the board and meeple storing on a player's play area. Each round a player will place one meeple on the board and two in their play area. This makes learning, teaching, and playing the game very simple. The decisions you make about meeple placement and storage are where the game's strategic challenge and depth really come from. There's a lot that can happen in a given turn, but strip away the optional stuff and each turn comes down to three parts. Select meeples, place one meeple on the board, and add the other two to your play area. Meeples in Four Towers come in four colors, yellow, green, red, and blue. Most games would have you drawing random meeples from a bag and making game decisions based significantly on luck and single-turn planning. But Four Towers affords players the freedom to choose specifically what meeples they use each turn from all those available. Long-term planning is more accessible, and player agency is absolute, two things I highly prefer in my games. Once a player selects their meeples, they'll add one to the board, which is a map of interconnected spaces. You can only add to a space that already has a meeple, and adding to a space with two meeples means that the meeple you add must share a color with one of the meeples already there. When you add a third meeple to a location, that location explodes and all three meeples must be shifted to adjacent spaces. One explosion can trigger more, and there are always exactly three connected spaces. Should you explode a meeple off the edge of the board or into the center space, it becomes a lord or demon, respectively. Both relate to endgame scoring. Each time a player creates a lord, their influence increases. Each time a player creates a demon, they can knock another player's influence down a peg. Your first few steps in influence are only worth 1 point each, but later steps are worth 4 each. With their remaining two meeples, a player gains followers, mountaineers, mercs, or merchants. Each provides points, maybe, at the end of the game, but can also be utilized for something else. Followers are worth points equal to the number of matching color lords at the end of the game. This could be a lot or nothing, as each time a demon is made, a lord of the same color is removed. Mountaineers, mercs, and merchants are all worth 2 points each, but can provide more. The player with the most mountaineers gains 2 additional points per mountaineer. If you ever have 7 or more mercs, your endgame points from influence will be doubled, and if you have 2 champion cards and a full complement of 5 merchants, you get a third champion card for free. I'll explain those later. Beyond final scoring, each of these has a special way they can be used. Followers can be sacrificed to acquire your first 2 champion cards, which can provide unique benefits, abilities, points, and more. Mountaineers can be sacrificed to shift a meeple on the board from a green location, 2 spaces from the edge, to a blue location, 1 space from the edge. Mercs can be sacrificed to murder any meeple on the board, and finally, merchants can be sacrificed to add charges to champion cards. Four Towers has a lot of interconnectivity which rewards balance and flexibility. For every red meeple you make into a follower, there's one less red meeple that can be on the board moving towards lordship. For every blue lord you make, the value of blue meeples increases. For every yellow meeple teetering on the edge of demonhood, yellow followers become a more expendable commodity. Every green meeple added to other various tracks and burned for champion cards reduces the likelihood anyone will want to invest in making them lords or followers, and so on. In a 3 or 4 player game, there are 36 meeples of each color. That's a lot less than it sounds like. In a 4 player game, that's 12 turns to make your strategy work. If you aren't helping yourself with an action, you're probably helping someone else. In fact, most of the game involves setting up the board such that the other players will do your work for you, or, at least, they leave things alone long enough for your turn to come back up. All information is public, so there's not much hiding your strategy from the other players. You win or lose by your ability to control other players through your actions, not unlike chess. I can't speak for the final product, but I do want to add a little bit about the art. What art I've seen of the game looks very good. Though it has a fantasy theme, it does break away from some of the more cliched fantasy tropes you'd expect. This is probably the only game in which you'll see a Pandalope or Raptortus. And they do look pretty cool, my renditions notwithstanding. Altogether, Four Towers presents as a solid medium weight game. It can be played at whatever pace a player is comfortable, rewards smart play, and should feel different each time. This is Denken Games' first outing, and it is a solid effort.